Hello, my friends. Today's date is January the 24th, and this is a reading for you if this is your birth date or if this is an anniversary or special occasion date, but primarily this is a birthday reading for the year to follow. It is a four-card pull, a general energy card for the year. Is there a sustained energy, some kind of theme that goes through? Is there something that punctuates it and makes you look at it and change things for you? So that is the first card. The second card is a particular challenge that you might have this year. Third card is how to stay in balance this year. And fourth is an outcome or synopsis card. And this is the first card. The general energy card is the riddle. And the riddle is just that. It's the question about life. It's the question about purpose. It's the question about beingness. It is the question about truth. It is the question about seeking the understanding of the universe, seeking the understanding about anything, will most often lead to the next mystery. And if you find the answer to a particular question, it often leads to the next mystery that needs to be solved. And so there's a continuation of the riddle that punctuates and perpetuates uh, who we are, what we do, why we're here, how we think about our lives, how we think about our meaning, how we think about our beingness. You know, the Sphinx was um, the keeper, the holder of secrets. And there is a sense that if you approach the Sphinx with the right question, the Sphinx would offer you the correct answer. But until you approached the Sphinx with the correct question, um, you wouldn't get the right answer. You wouldn't get the answer that you wanted to help you solve your question, solve your dilemma, solve your push to find something. And there's a lot about pushing to find the answer means you're pushing, and if you're pushing, that means you're not at ease, and often the answer can only come when you're at ease. And there is another one of those significant riddles of our being. You know, that if someone is sick, and they push to do healing work, and they push and they push, and I want to be well, I want to be well, I want to be well, but they're not accepting where they are in the moment and finding some peace in the moment. That is usually what leads to someone becoming well again, is finding more moments where one is at peace and one can actually make inroads into one's unease or one's dis-ease. So the push for healing can be, something that doesn't serve us. The push for anything, for an answer, can be something that doesn't serve us. So, um, letting life unfold, letting your questions be there, but being at peace with your questions, seeking the answers, but giving yourself, that sense of peace of not knowing, because often the answers come and they only lead to more questions, more questions. So there's a sense of how are you facing your riddle this year? And that is the question and the reflection. Are you pushing to solve for the answers? Are you finding peace in the moment? Are you allowing in that peace to for new understandings to flow into you, which ultimately again lead to more questions about what the next thing is, what the next step is, who am I next, what am I supposed to be doing next, why am I here next? So, what is your particular challenge? January the what did I say? 24th today. So this is the Seven of Swords, and I think the Seven of Swords often speaks about change is required, a drop of a belief. Swords, a drop of a belief that doesn't really serve you, is being asked to be let go of so that you can have more clarity and you can focus on the other ideas that are correct. But there's a holding for some reason to an idea or a belief system that it just doesn't serve you. Maybe it's wanting to fit into a crowd, maybe it's wanting to fit into a school, maybe it's wanting to fit into your family, into your church, and it's a hard idea or thought that isn't really serving you right now. And can you find some kind of peace with that, and be okay with that, and maybe look like a fool to drop it, to drop something that is not serving you. And it's hard to look like a fool, and it's hard to look like maybe you believe something that everybody else wants to believe, and you're in that particular circle anyway, but yet now suddenly you're not really believing it or feeling it or understanding it, and it seems counterproductive to uh, your search for yourself and your connection to spirit and your connection to creator and your connection to higher wisdom and your connection to greater understanding. Swords are about the mind, so it's about thoughts and patterns and analysis, and what other people have brought in as quote truth, or the right way, and sometimes you don't find the right way through somebody else's belief of the right way. And that's, I think, a lot of what the Seven of Swords is talking about this year. Can you let yourself look like a fool and let go of something that you believed that no longer you really believe? And there is part of the riddle of what do you do? How do you deal with beliefs that fall apart or need to change? And will there be something else that comes up to take their place? And can you let go of possibly the institution or the religion or the family or the belief system that holds this as their truth? But that means you have to often let go. The Seven of Swords is often about letting go of something that doesn't serve you. This is in your mind. So what do you have to do? What action can you take to give yourself a break from your mind? Because your mind is what's worked this year. Your mind of what does this all mean? What is this going to say? What is this going to mean? What is this going to do? Well, the frog comes up, and the frog is all about healing. The frog consciousness is really about water and earth. Frogs jump into the water if they get too dry, and then they jump onto the land or onto a lily pad if they get too wet and need to sun themselves and change their energies and look for their food. And so it's about knowing when to be in the sun of light and thinking, and knowing when to be in the water of one's emotions and resting. And so the frog, I think, says in a lot of ways, what is the healing that you really need this year? Well, it's to be more balanced between your mind and your emotion. It's to be more balanced between your push and your will and your body, which says, I need to rest. I need to lie down. I need to not be thinking so much about this. I need to not be so worried about this that it means something deep that's going to harm me unless I stick to it and I think about it and I challenge it and I find the right answer. Well, the frog says, well, you have to give that all a rest. You have to take some time for yourself. And you have to be able to listen to not only your mind, but your intuitions. And you have to be able to listen to words of inspiration, but also your own feelings of inspiration, your own heart of inspiration, your own sense of connectedness and allowance and ease and vulnerability and joy and playfulness. Those are all watery elements that sometimes the mind doesn't let one luxuriate in. But the way to healing is to share your pain and to share your joy and to honor your emotions and your feelings that are underneath you, and to honor your intuitions that say, well, maybe this is a better path if you just listen to it and not get so stuck in your own mind and your own gyrations of needing to have mental understanding when it can't be understood on a mental level quite often. They're just going to shift into the next realm of mystery once more. And I think the riddle is very, Zen is very much about that Zen concept of, well, you can only change what comes up in the moment for you to change. You can't push yourself to do healing work that's not ready to be healed. You can't push yourself to understand things that aren't ready to be understood. You can't push your life and make things grow that aren't in their time period of flowering and becoming a fruit. You have to go sometimes into the winter, and you have to and rest, and you have to go into the spring and exert energy, and you have to go to the summer and be in your prime, and you have to go into the fall and leave things behind, including your energy and your harvest. Welcome your harvest, but you have to let it go, mostly because it is now done, and it's now going into winter again, where the body and the soul can relax and release and get ready for the next round. So, therein is the riddle of following nature of things or pushing so hard that one becomes imbalanced, because one pushes so hard to understand and find the riddle and to ask the right questions. Um, but asking the right questions means being willing to hear on both your intellectual and your intuitive levels what would really serve you. And that's what this year is all about, finding that hoe.